Hello and welcome to ANC Decides, the show that brings you news on the ANC race as it happens. I'm your host, Cindy Mabi, and here's what's making headlines at this hour. ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe says Mpumalanga unity nominations will eventually translate into specific names. Limpopo victory puts Cyril Ramaphosa in pole position in the hotly contested race. Limpopo is the fifth province to back CR17. ANC says there is no question about the Free State PEC's standing. Mantashe says only courts or the court rules on the need to return some BGMs. ANC presidential candidate Dr. Matthews Poza is expected to challenge the outcome of the Mpumalanga Provincial General Council in court. Poza is seeking the nullification of the nomination process after branches that lodged disputes with both the PEC and the National Executive Committee did not receive feedback. Poza's court action, if successful, may have far-reaching consequences for the 223 unity nominations. This may also affect the presidential candidate's fortunes if the PGC is nullified and Mpumalanga's delegation is called into question. It's now up to the courts to decide on Mabuza's plan to push unity ahead of any other contender.
There will be no vote for unity because there will be no unity on the ballot box. Okay? So there can be no vote for unity because there is nobody called unity. We don't vote for the sake of voting, we vote for names. Because if you are nominated, we must test if you have been a member of the ANC for at least 10 years.
And here's Poza's basis for the court challenge. 35 branches that lodged disputes with the PEC and NEC did not receive feedback before the Provincial General Council. Mabuza and the PEC misled branches into nominating unity against ANC guidelines that require a name and surname, and the ANC Electoral Commission initially listed unity nominations as abstentions until Mabuza convinced them otherwise.
It was his mandate of unity or his culture of unity or his message that is preaching for unity. It was really a unity. Why did he not consult Deputy President and Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and said, you two, comrade, you are the one who are campaigning for presidential candidate. Why don't we sit down, one become the deputy president? It's either you, Cyril, become the deputy of Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, or either Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma become the deputy president of one candidate. So I'm saying that that thing of unity does not exist. If really the message that Didi is preaching, it was the issue of unifying the movement, he should have sat and able to fix the frustrations in the branches where comrades have been beaten, where comrades have been assaulted, and him, as the chair of the province, we're not doing anything. So these things of unity does not exist. In fact, DD is just been a power hunger. So he should become clear and say that he wants to become a deputy president, and campaign very strongly, and not even instructed by instructed people not to vote. And I can tell you, there's so many comrades who have been complaining who were not even invited in the PGC.
We're joined in studio by political analyst Butsang Moilwa and via Skype by Mlungi Simiezo. Good evening to both our guests, and thanks so much for joining us. Is this just really sending the pigeon among or rather the cat among the pigeons to cause disruption unnecessarily and mess the process up?
Well, good evening, Cindy, and to your viewers. I don't think it's a mere, causing of disruption, in the processes. Mr. Mabuza and some people from the province, they've made it very clear a long time ago that which road will they be taking, for example. And I think most of them, they've stuck on what they've agreed upon. And also it may be, a game change for the ANC now to say they cannot continue doing things the way they've been wanting to do things. But what is even more important is that this province in Mpumalanga, it's also one of the powerful provinces. Its weight, it should be reckoned with, and it will be actually realize that they can swing votes, they can influence positions and decisions. So we should not underestimate what they are capable of doing. People don't like change naturally. Human beings don't like change. And this is a very different ball game. I wish, or I think, if it could have been unity vote in absolute majority, but at the moment it's like there's three candidates. There's unity. If you look at the numbers of Dr. Zuma as well as Mr. Ramaphosa, they're almost very close. So the third candidate, or the winner in this instance, is this unity that many are saying it's a spoiled vote. But we know that it's a spoiled vote in this instance. But when people go, when this delegate does not bar these delegates to go to the conference, it doesn't. They will still go to the conference. They will still, as individuals, be in a position to can cast their vote.
But I mean, it's a tactical move from Didi Mabuza. And Mr. Miezo, in your view, these are rudimentary processes where delegates would know that a name and a surname is required, and that unity in itself, if it's not defined or it doesn't have an allocation in terms of how to identify it, you can't vote for that particular option as proposed by Didi Mabuza.
Thank you very much, Cindy, and the viewers. I think basically with regards to what the attempt by Mpumalanga is there to basically kill this thing of slates and to say that we need to come together and discuss the way forward to see who's the potential candidates that we can go for, instead of just having this issue of maybe having one slate winning outright. Maybe let's combine the slates to come up with a combined government out of the two slates. Hence why they chose to go the route of unity instead of indicating certain individuals as being maybe the presidential candidate or in. It would be given. And that's.
That line is terrible, Mr. Miezo. We're going to have to come back to you. We have our reporter, Sindisiwe Twala, who's in Bryanston, Johannesburg, for a briefing. Good evening to you, Sindisiwe, and thanks so much for joining us. Just in terms of how matters stand at the moment with the PGCs being in question, we know Gauteng held theirs over the weekend. Just an update from your side on the latest developments. Hi, Cindy.
A very good day to you, Cindy, as well as the viewers. Like you've correctly cited, we're in Bryanston today, where we're talking to Ronnie Malumane, who's the campaign manager of Matthew Posa's campaign in Mpumalanga. We've also been to a briefing earlier on where Gwede Mantashe was elaborating on the status as of yet of the different developments with the PGCs and the developments for the conference, rather, National Elective Conference. But coming back to the issues that are plaguing Mpumalanga, we know that just over the weekend, 223 votes came out for unity, something that shocked a lot of people, but not so much for Malumane, who's going to be elaborating from his side what exactly has been happening there. We also know that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma received 123 votes and Cyril Ramaphosa closely at 117 votes for the presidential position. But we know that this is something that is unfounded, unheard of in the Constitution, as according to Rules 11 and 12 of the ANC Constitution, a person needs to have over 10 years in the party, member in good standing, in order to be elected. And unity does not have a face of anyone as of yet. But I have with me the provincial campaign manager for Matthew Posa, who has a dispute with this particular issue. Please elaborate from your side. I know we had an interview with you 2 months ago where you said that people have been forced to write unity. Can you elaborate on this?
No, thank you very much, my sister, for having me. First of all, let me try to elaborate. We who have noted that there's a gross malicious violation of the nomination guidelines, which which is detected in the nomination guidelines, then somebody has violated it. I indicated categorically clearly last time that when you are talking about unity, I think somebody lacks some certain things in his mind, because according to our perspective point of view, when we are talking about unity, you are talking about two different things which needed to be united or amalgamated in order to make one. Then this person, you can't find him in this side or that side. He's neutral, but at the same time, he's preaching that there's a unity. And according to our perspective point of view, when you check the package of the nomination forms, it indicated categorically clearly that name of details of nominee. Then underneath it said names of that nominee and surname. But unity, there's no name at all there.
Just to interject, does it mean now that you're going to take the matter up to court? Because I heard that there might be court action instituted against Didi Mabuza for this particular violation.
Ma'am, I think what you are saying were right at the doorstep. We've already finished compiling our papers. Then we're right there. We're going there. Tomorrow morning, we are there. We want to fight corruption in the ANC as well as in the government. That's our major task.
And then are you going to be, I also heard that there are rumors that you're going to be filing alongside other presidential hopefuls. Is this true? Can you cite a name?
No, currently I cannot dwell much on that, because when a matter is in court, you cannot dwell much, because there are some other things which I cannot divulge to you currently. But what I've already indicated, we are right in court.
Thank you so much. That was Ronnie Malumane, one of the campaign managers of Matthew Phosa campaign in Mpumalanga, where this particular dispute has arisen. We also know that the rumors making the rounds is that Cyril Ramaphosa campaigners are also going to be challenging this particular matter, as they feel that unity is something that should not have been written on the ballot box, but a particular person's name should have been written. We're not as sure as how many other people are also going to be respondents, because we know there are 7 presidential candidates going into this elective conference. Back to you in studio, Cindy.
Cindy Siwetwala, reporter in Bryanston, and Batang Moilwa joining us in studio. I mean, is this Didi's Mabuza's modus operandi? It said that even in Polokwane he pulled a similar stunt.
Well, I think it's his strategy, and it has so far worked for him. It has just been intensified during this campaign, better than in Polokwane, because in Polokwane, Didi Mabuza and Mpumalanga were also part of some faction at that stage. But, Cindy, what I don't understand is people who are talking words like people have been forced to. When you are in your ballot corner and you've got your own time to write unity on Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma or Cyril Ramaphosa, you are not being forced. We cannot talk about people. People may have been convinced to. There's a difference to say at branches and people lobby, and that's lobbying. To say this is unprocedural, we know that it is not in line with the electoral process of the ANC. But as we always say, the status quo is no longer the same for the ANC. They cannot continue doing things the way they've been doing things, even when they are faced with a very huge challenge of having the party collapsing or divided. And somebody comes out and say, but this process we have been using and following, it has not worked in building the organization, and we are at our worst stage as the ANC. Therefore, let us look at the alternative measures. What people should not forget is that Didi Mabuza has said with the Mpumalanga people, let us go with one slate. Let us go into unite the organization. That's why there's been consultations with other provinces like the Northwest, like Gauteng itself. He had a one-on-one with the chairperson of Gauteng. And those are some of the efforts that he is trying to. In my view, I think the ANC would have been better off if they would go to this conference as a united force and not as a divided force. But again, it is the people's democratic right to can decide who do they want to lead the organization. And I think...
But at least make a choice between two living contenders in this case, as opposed to putting unity as if unity is what's going to be selected at the elective conference. Let's get Mlunge Simyezo, who's back with us, in your view, whether this has led to members being pliable in the sense that they can swing either way depending on what the numbers look like.
Definitely, Cindy, because at the end of the day, as unity is not a human, or nor is it basically a living human being, it basically leaves them in a space where they can now swing in whichever way they want to swing in terms of the votes. And let us be cognizant of the fact that these particular nomination processes are not the final voting figures. So anything may happen in between now and this. Anything can happen. So the votes that are in place now, or the current nominations, the figures may change drastically come the time of the conference. So people should not be really placing much emphasis on these nominations, because these nominations are just figures. And bear in mind, during these particular times, that there are people being persuaded otherwise as we speak. I mean, there's people that will change their views as time goes on, because at the conference is we still have a couple of days. We still have, 12 days to the conference. Anything can happen between then and now.
Yeah, the nominations do not equate a vote. No, I get that point. We'll come back to you, Mlungisi. Please stay with us. And we move on to another hotly contested province, and the ANC succession race has entered a decisive phase, with Limpopo putting Cyril Ramaphosa in pole position. Ramaphosa received the most nominations of Limpopo's 5 regions, with 391 votes. Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma came in second with 104 nominations, and the decisive victory by Ramaphosa in Limpopo has given the Deputy President a comfortable lead, with 5 provinces backing his campaign so far. And it's early days to say if Ramaphosa can maintain the lead with other remaining ANC structures.
Because this is the decision of the branches of Limpopo. So the branches of Limpopo are saying that we should go to this national conference with one mandate that says Cyril Ramaphosa will be the president of the ANC, emerging out of that conference. Our task will be to persuade other provinces to follow the decision of this Provincial General Council of the ANC. But the decision is clear, the mandate is clear. It says Cyril Ramaphosa must be the candidate that is proposed by Limpopo.
I'm across to our reporter, Natasha Piri, who's in Polokwane in Limpopo. Good evening to you, Natasha, and thanks so much for joining us. Was this a foregone conclusion that Cyril Ramaphosa indeed will remain victorious in Limpopo?
Well, very good afternoon to you, Cindy, and to the viewers. It's quite noisy here. There's a bit of commotion here. Quite an eventful day that we had today at Limpopo's PGC. But I'm actually joined by Chair Silana, who will just take us through everything that happened. Are they happy that Cyril Ramaphosa actually emerged victorious as Limpopo's preferred presidential candidate? Chair, thank you so much for joining us on ANN7. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma came second to Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa supporters of the province are very, very happy, but you've raised quite a number of grievances.
Look, the ANC now, branches of the ANC have went to the BGMs, and when they've went to the BGMs, they've made nomination. And in that nomination, they've nominated leadership. And amongst those leadership is Cyril Ramaphosa and Nkosazana Zuma. Sitting where we are, I'm quite confident that we, as the views of the Youth League, will forever make it a point that Nkosazana emerge in actual fact victorious.
There seems as if there's a bit of commotion here. Can we just take the conversation here to Ndate Eugene? Can I please call for calm and for order? Calm and order, please. Calm and order, please. Ndate Eugene, people are quite angry here. Cyril Ramaphosa supporters are quite angry here. What is your reaction?
As Limpopo, we are united. As Limpopo, we are united. The only person Zuma is Cyril Ramaphosa. We don't go with Youth League. Finish and clear. And those Bokas delegate, we are still going to deal that on.
Can you give him a time? Can you also give him a chance to speak to us?
No,
please.
Let me tell you that the number that is alleged to be 104, it's inflated numbers by the provincial secretaries of Limpopo. They've registered bogus delegates amongst the delegates. Those are not correct numbers, but the correct numbers will going to reflect when we come to the Nazareth at the national conference.
And why are you saying that the correct numbers are not reflected?
the branch members or branch leadership of the branches that have been inflated or that have registered the wrong people, they were here making complaints to say that their branch have never went to BGMs. Only the provincial secretariat has stolen their package and signed them somewhere. The provincial secretariat has hired people to do signatures of people.
Can I give the provincial secretary a right of reply?
Just correction there, I'm the regional secretary of Peter Mugaba.
Okay, fine.
What's the question?
He alleges that some of the BGM processes are actually flawed.
The BGM processes were flawed. We had the dispute processes. Yes. And even today, when we arrived here, we had name tags for some of the branches that did not even sit. Yes. But that is a matter that we are taking up with the national office.
Mama, you've been very vocal. You've heard what Ndate had to say. What kind of action are you actually seeking after this?
We are going to resolve all the problems before the 9. And the correct delegate will be going to the conference. Those who have they are not going there. And more province, we are saying Cyril Ramaphosa is our president. Now is the 5 provinces.
Are you happy with the numbers? Because you guys had expected a greater number than 426. No. You guys came out with 391.
Yes. Nkosazana Zuma, 104 is not the correct number. He must go down because of the bogats that they were there. So, and for an example, from Sitlanguma Kubena branch, Andris Agalakala, they never had a BGA.
What for?
What 5? And also what 4? Bill. But they were here. You see, we are going to resolve everything. Man. And I'm telling you, CR17 we are
so much for your time. Unfortunately, I'd love to speak to all of you, but because of time, I'm sorry. Cindy, well, you've heard a cheer from the branches here in Limpopo. Those CR17 supporters very, very happy that Cyril Ramaphosa had emerged victorious, but also say that some of these BGM processes have been flawed and they seek to resolve them. The PEC and the REC in the region will seek to resolve them, I think, before the 9th of December. As for me, let me just leave it here for now and cross back to you in studio.
Natasha, thank you so much for pacifying the situation there. Natasha Piri, our reporter in Polokwane in Limpopo. We stay with Botang Muilwa in studio. Unbecoming behavior of members in good standing and the level of intolerance, it seems, not even shy to make allegations, general statements of allegations around bribery and votes being stolen.
Well, it is political intolerance, and sadly within the same organization. It's not like there's an opposition. But also for members, and most of the people who were there are said to be branch leaders, like chairpersons who have attended the PGC, and to make allegations that there are bogus people in those lists, those branches were inflated and so forth. When you inflate a branch, how do they come to a conclusion that the branches that are purported to be supporting Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma are the ones which are inflated? Because if a branch comes with names and numbers and it's inflated, it will affect either sides, of the voters. So, but I think it's just some of those administrative, issues and challenges that the ruling party will be faced with until the conference starts. But if the numbers that we are seeing, Limpopo has made its decision, whom do they rally behind as a province and the number of branches. However, Cindy, the gentleman who spoke earlier on made a very, very important comment to say we should not get excited about the number of branches or provinces that nominates a person, because it is the number of individuals who will be in the conference that will make a decision, and nobody will have control over those people. Again, they will not be forced. They can change their minds between today and next week. But also, you may be nominated by 5 provinces out of the 9, and you find a province like the Western Cape and the Northern Cape, which numbers are not that significant and or very important. If you have the nomination of 2 major provinces, KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga, which is seen to be caught up in between the situation, and then you can secure other votes from delegates from other provinces, anything is possible. I'm going to be focusing during this ANC decide process on what delegates as individuals will be saying and what they will be doing behind the closed doors as individuals, not what we are seeing on television screens at the moment. But it does work psychologically on the minds of people. it works, psychologically on influencing supporters of any of the candidates. And at the moment, I think we should only be talking of the two candidates, and we should not be wasting time on talking of the other candidates.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion, as we said, as in an inevitable result that CR17 indeed has won. Just based on the numbers from Limpopo, he's at 394, and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is at 104. Mr. Miezo, in your view, what do we make of the allegations around the excessive increase or inflation of the numbers towards NTZ?
Well, Cindy, I mean, at the end of the day, we've been seeing disputes left, right, and center. Some followed through and to be found that it actually is an actual fact. So now in this particular case, it wouldn't actually basically scare me to say that, or would actually shake me to say that at the end of the day, everybody's going to have their own disputes if certain figures don't go their way, because maybe they expected a clean sweep in their area in terms of Limpopo to have Cyril as the clear candidate with a clean sweep. Now, with regards to the fact that it did not transpire, they are bound to have their own conclusions to say that there were bogus people in the conference itself. So also what I'd just like to put into place is that we haven't had the figures of KZN come through as yet. And if we take the figures of KZN to come through, hypothetically, we're seeing about 700 odd people say that they want Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. And then we have the 223 votes that in Mpumalanga that went unity. They decide to go the route of Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. That gives Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma an additional 923 votes, hypothetically. So that would put her higher in terms of the figures when you tally up the figures compared to what Cyril currently has. So hence why I say we should not be putting these votes or these particular nominations into play and making them our final cost in stone, because it can turn drastically towards the end. And people should not get overexcited just over these nominations because they're not the final figure.
Yeah, I don't think you can contain the excitement. Much rests on the elective conference in December as to who will emerge victorious as the next ANC president. Of course, we'll keep a close watch on the build-up to the conference. Thanks indeed to our political analyst, Witsang Moilwa, joining us in studio. And we have Mlungisi Miezo, who is with Radical Economic Transformation Coalition, joining us via Skype. We take a break for now. Do stay with us.